The crowned one.
The crowned one.
What's up, guys? How's it going? Glad to have you back here at the Crown One. And today I want to talk about a topic that is pretty sensitive to me, and that is game pricing. Now, as you guys have already known, Microsoft has announced Outer Worlds 2, which is coming out in October. I believe it's going to be, I think it's like October 29th. October 29th of this year, 2025, is going to be coming out. And there seems to be a bit of a, hubbub about Microsoft's pricing. So let's get into it. And if you guys are enjoying the content, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell for the latest updates and the latest uploads for the latest content. Right, so came across this article, and this is something that's been trending, especially on Instant Gaming News. This is where I'm reading this article from. And it says Microsoft actually walked back an $80 price tag to the Outer Worlds 2 franchise. And of course, this being real, the actual, it's now going to be going to the $70 launch price, which of course is a $10 price drop. Now, we can talk about why this matters, because I think it's an important issue, because it speaks to a much broader or macrocosmic issue of current day game pricing. So the background to this is that not so long ago, Microsoft was bumping up the price of some of their big holiday games to $80. Justification for it is, I could say market trends as to why they felt justified in throwing up almost $100 for a game, $80. But it seems like they were following Nintendo's lead. And yes, it is a bit of a name drop to Nintendo Switch 2, which of course selling $80 and $90 games for the Nintendo Switch 2 console that just released last month in June. Now, the Outer Worlds 2, this is the first game that was slapped with that price tag for Microsoft. But of course, fan reaction, we're being honest, $80 for a game, it just, that's a big ask. And the reason why I say that is because even when games were still $70, which it still are, even of course with the Outer Worlds 2 franchise dropping, or Microsoft dropping that price, $70 is a huge ask. Even with me having a career, I do cybersecurity as a full-time job, and seeing $70 price tag games, I no longer, and here's the thing, I've purchased $70 games. In fact, I was about to say Black Myth Wukong, but not that one. The first Berserker Kazan that came out a few months ago, I actually paid money for that one. I've been wanting to play that for a while. I just really hadn't got around to. I tried to start another channel, and that's, sidebar. But at any rate, with the exception of that, I can't recall the last time I dropped $70 on a game. And with this being raised, of course, before they dropped it, with it being $80, $80. I can't justify getting a game, especially on pre-order. You're paying $80 for a game you haven't even got yet, and you don't even know if it's going to be good to begin with. And this is why I typically wait for gameplay to come out. I watch other YouTubers. There are some games that I will pre-order if I'm really excited about it. Definitely will get it. But when I see something like an $80 price tag, $70 price tag, I'm typically hesitant for that very same reason. Now, I would say that the gaming industry, as it pertains to refunds, especially with Amazon, they've gotten a lot better with that when it comes to refunding games at full price. At one point, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to play the first Berserker Kazan, I actually applied for a refund, and they were going to give me the full refund. There's other games that I've applied refunds for, and I got the full refund even after cracking the case, because I remember a time when GameStop would have their return policies. If you crack the plastic seal in that on that case, that brings down the value of the game dramatically. It's kind of like pulling a car off a lot. You know what I'm saying? But they've gotten better. I would say the gaming industry, for that perspective, when it comes to refunds, when you have third-party sellers like Amazon, the refunds have gotten pretty good. So with that being said, when people do buy the games, obviously They buy the game with the intent to keep it, to play it, to make it as their own. But when you start seeing $80, $90 price tags, I mean, it's, for me, and this is, again, coming from a person who has a full-time career in a whole totally different field, I just find that hard. So yeah, you know, to each his own. If you got the money, not saying I don't have the money, obviously I can't afford it, but again, it's a game. And I hate saying that because this is coming from a gamer. It's a game, man. Like even $70 is still a little high, but that has been the traditional pricing for AAA game titles in the past. So, of course, explaining why Microsoft, you know, pretty much did a pivot 180 on the price tag. They don't really make a big fuss about it. You just kind of quietly announce it through Obsidian. And I'm reading a quote here. It says, "Oh, and if you're already pre-ordered at $80, don't worry. They're refunding the difference depending on where you bought it. Steam, PlayStation Store, Microsoft Store. It says you're covered." So that is a quote saying that if you have already done your pre-orders for the $80, you will get a $10 difference. Now, whether that's going to be cash refund or a store credit, doesn't seem like there's much detail on that, but you will get some type of refund going forward. And I like to see what that's like if anybody, you know, has already made their pre-purchases and stuff. You know, whether or not they're going to offer that, you know, maybe they'll have more details as they start to roll out the automatic refunds. But jumping into, you know, why it seems like they were, you know, kind of, it almost feels like a bit of a flip-flop. So, you know, the fun part is Obsidian, you know, kind of made it into a joke. They posted this cheeky little in-universe message from the Earth Directorate, and it says, "If you know, you know." Of course, if you guys know the acronym IYKYK, it says it was tagged with hashtag SOS, like they knew fans weren't having it. And it says, honestly, it probably came down to pre-orders being weak. You know, so that could be the why. If people, again, I go back to, again, if people seeing that price tag, that can be be a discouragement, because you have to also consider your target audience, which a lot of times is going to be late teens, early 20s, 30s, stuff like that. I won't say what my age bracket is, but I can honestly say I'm probably not the target audience, which is fine. I still like to do my games. I get my games. I don't let you know, market trends tell me what game to play. I do listen to gamer reviews a lot. I think that plays a huge part, but also looking at some of the gameplay to kind of scrutinize for myself just before purchasing or decide not to purchase. So, of course, going forward, you know, of course, with this move here, Microsoft has also said that their holiday titles are going to stick to the $70 price point, at least for now. I think that's a good win. Again, still $70, still high for me, relatively high. But the fact that they're sticking with that traditional AAA game pricing up until Christmas, or at least, you know, for now, I still think is going to be a win for those, you know. And people will say, well, you know, what's the difference in $20? Okay, what happens when it's, you know, what's the difference between $70 and $80? Okay, well, we're talking about a $10 difference. I mean, not a huge leap, but $70 was a huge leap to begin with, as far as, you know, people who like to budget their finances. So what happens when that $70 turns to $100 or turns to $120? You're dropping. In fact, when Spider-Man 2 came out, they had a pack, a specialized bundle just for the game. I'm not talking about the console. The game itself, there was a specialized bundle. I think it was like $100, $200 or something like that. Now, I've said this in my previous video. Spider-Man is my all-time favorite superhero of all time, bar none, over all of them, over every last. You can argue semantics all you like. I grew up Spider-Man, so that's where it is. With that being said, I could not bring myself to justify dropping almost $200 on my hard-earned cash on a Spider-Man 2 bundle. And I watched some of the Spider-Man 2 gameplay. I don't think I played it. You know, I have my own personal reasons for it, but I just didn't play it. I played Spider-Man Miles Morales. I didn't care too much for the storyline. Gameplay was cool. I'm still on that Spider-Man 1 that came out on the PS4. I still play that game every now and again, especially with the expansion packs that came out, man. I mean, what a time to be alive, you know. I could just see, and this is all subjective, you know. I'm not saying people are right or wrong. This is all subjective. I can see myself dropping $70 for a Spider-Man game. Most definitely. Now, as long as it's good and has a good storyline, you know, don't just, you know, throw whatever into it and rubber stamp it Spider-Man and it ends up being trash. Because as much as I like Spider-Man, I don't like Spider-Man blindly, if you guys get what I'm saying. It's okay to enjoy things, but just don't enjoy it blindly. You know, have some questions. It's okay. Now, Outer Worlds 2 is dropping, like I said earlier, October 29th, and it's coming to the Xbox Series X and S, the PlayStation 5, and the PC. So it will not, I remember reading an article, I can't remember what the article was or headline. It will not be coming on the PS4 console. And forgive me for all you Xbox lovers out there. I do not know. I think it's Xbox One that came out before the Xbox Series X and S. So any console prior to the latest Xbox console, Outer Worlds 2 will not be coming out. So it's all coming on new gen stuff. Of course, with PC. I mean, PC's automatic, but with the consoles themselves, I would not look to getting Outer Worlds 2 on those previous consoles, PS4 and I believe the Xbox One. So, guys, it might be time to upgrade. You know, don't shoot the messenger. It took me a while, you know, to get the PS5. I wasn't totally sold on it, but when I wanted to get one, I actually got it. They didn't, you know, because when the PS5 came out, they didn't have a large gaming library and they were making stuff backwards compatible. They just kept rehashing old PS4 games onto the PS5. And that's, you know, that's cool. I'm glad they had the backward compatibility, but we weren't seeing, in my opinion, I will say a voluminous PlayStation 5 catalog. But with that being said, I hope this helps you guys out because, again, if you're looking to, you know, make your budget, it's all good. You're not at fault for it. If you don't want to drop $70, if you don't want to drop $40 on a game, it is your loot to spend or not spend however you see fit. So again, if you guys are enjoying the content, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that notification bell for the latest updates on the latest uploads for the latest content. This is Crown One signing off, and I'll talk to you guys later.